Welcome back to Thirsty Thursday edition of Liquid Lunch. And if you're wondering why you're watching the trailer to a comedy horror film on Newsmax TV, it's because my team, all these great young men and women that are behind the cameras and behind the scenes and doing all the editing, the Fuzz on the Lens crew, they made that movie, and it's an award-winning film, and Mike and Jay and Steve De La Sala and the whole crew, Robbie Rocket Kyle, they were all on the thing, worked on it, and made it great. It's on Amazon. Go check it out. And Jason actually won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. And if you know Jay, you wouldn't think he would win an award like that, so he must have really channeled it. And you should check out Abnormal Attraction. Now, we're covering the Mueller probe any chance we can, trying to get to the bottom of the facts and everything else. And as it's winding down here, a lot more people, they don't want to talk about it because Trump is pretty much exonerated. But joining us now is John Solomon. He's an award-winning journalist and investigative journalist, executive VP at The Hill. And this guy knows where all the bodies are buried on the Mueller probe. He's been covering it the most in depth. John, thanks for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, good to be with you.
So there's so much going on with the investigation of the investigators. Right. One of the things that I'm really focused on is this Inspector General report and what's happening with Horowitz. And many people are starting to say that Chris Wray may be carrying the water for Jim Comey. What say you?
Yeah, listen, there's a big story we broke last night. There is going to be an IG report that comes out before the one on the FISA abuses. It's going to come out next couple of weeks. It's going to be a very damning indictment of James Comey. It is going to confirm that James Comey leaked classified information, that he mishandled classified information moving it across unsecure emails, that he was less than candid with the FBI about acknowledging that he had taken memos from the FBI and distributed them to other people. But here's the big headline. The IG referred Comey for possible prosecution, and the Barr Justice Department this week turned that decision down. They declined to prosecute Comey for the misconduct that the IG had uncovered. So that's a big sort of subplot that precedes the final findings that we'll get in September, it sounds like now, on the status of whether the investigation was started properly and whether that FISA warrant that we keep talking about was illegal.
John, it's a real honor to have you on the show. It's Frank Morano. We see you on Fox and all over the place, and it's a real treat for us. You have been a leader on this investigation. I'm not sure I understand. If the Inspector General is referring Comey for possible prosecution, ultimately, why wouldn't the Justice Department take that up? And whose decision was that? I can't imagine it was Attorney General Barr that would make that decision. Do we know who's responsible?
I am certain that Attorney General Barr was aware of the decision and sided with his team on it. I'm told that the Justice Department was unanimous in the decision. Sometimes in these circumstances, prosecutors make calls. All right, there's misconduct here, but we got to take a jury in New York or Washington. Do we really think we're going to get James Comey convicted? And if he gets acquitted, does that essentially sanction the bad behavior? Or more importantly, James Comey's a figure still in a much larger investigation, whether we file the false FISA warrant. Let's hold off and focus on that. That seems to be the bigger enchilada. And so I think those are the factors that went into it. I don't think people should read too much into it. But I think the more important thing is when people read the report on Comey, they're going to see a very different Comey than the self-righteous guy that you often see on his book tour.
Oh, and on Twitter.
Hey, John, it's John Tobacco. One of these simple little things we learned, like in high school, the fruit of the poisonous tree. If it's proven by any of these reports that the original FISA warrant was bad, it was gained illegally or by the wrong means, does that disqualify the whole probe?
Probably not. There are many exemptions that the courts have carved out over the year. Here's, I think, the more important thing. If that misleading of the court, if that warrant was intentionally false, the people that signed it, like James Comey, the people who prepared it, like Peter Strzok, could face criminal prosecution under a theory of conspiracy to defraud the United States. That's the case to be watching for this fall. Let's see what happens when John Durham and Bill Barr get going. But I think there's going to be some reckoning coming this fall.
We only have about 30 seconds left, Mr. Solomon, but I do want to ask you about the Steele dossier. What, if anything, did Mueller say in his testimony last week about the investigations into the Steele dossier and where that led to?
He said about as much of the Steele dossier as the Democrats on stage said about Russia. It was zilch, zero. Didn't talk about it at all. But I broke a story 2 weeks ago. The FBI analyzed it, and in the spring of 17, they found 90% of it could not be corroborated or was false or was simply internet rumors. It is what they call in the intelligence world garbage intelligence.
Thank you, John. We'll see you soon.
John Solomon, thank you from the Hill. We'll keep you posted.